And let's go live to Kazan in Russia for the briefing by the Ministry of External Affairs there of India.
Let me just give you a quick rundown of the Prime Minister's first day of engagements on the occasion of his visit to Kazan for the 16th BRICS Summit. The Prime Minister arrived in Kazan earlier this morning, and at the airport he was very warmly welcomed by the Rais, or the head of the Republic of Tatarstan, His Excellency Rustam Minikhanov, and the Mayor of Kazan, and was accorded a Guard of Honor. He was also given a traditional Tatar welcome, where he was presented bread and a Tatar dessert, chak-chak, by the local people. India has old historical links with Kazan, a city which lay on an ancient trade route. On his arrival at the hotel, the Prime Minister was greeted by members of the Indian community in Kazan. We also had members of the local ISKCON branch singing Sanskrit chants to welcome him, and a group of Russian artists performed Kathak and Garba dances on the occasion. Thereafter, Prime Minister witnessed a photo exhibition on Mahatma Gandhi that highlighted the Mahatma's engagement with Leo Tolstoy. And this is particularly significant as it was in Kazan that Leo Tolstoy studied for several years. The Prime Minister's first formal engagement of the day was a bilateral meeting with President Vladimir Putin, the host of the 16th BRICS Summit. The meeting took place in the Governor's Palace, and the two leaders discussed the progress made in bilateral relations since the 22nd annual summit between them, which was held in July this year in Moscow. This happens to be the Prime Minister's 7th visit to Russia over the last 10 years, and his second visit to Russia this year. The two leaders had an extensive agenda to go over, the whole range of bilateral issues, including trade, economic, energy, defense, connectivity, education, and people-to-people ties were discussed between the two of them. Regional and global issues of mutual concern also came up for discussion. The two leaders also exchanged views on several matters concerning BRICS, and President Putin expressed his appreciation for India's constructive attitude and contributions in concluding the documents related to the Kazan BRICS Summit. The leaders also shared perspectives on the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Prime Minister reiterated that dialogue and diplomacy was the way forward to achieve resolution of the conflict. He briefed President Putin about his engagements with the Ukrainian leadership, and noted that India stood ready to contribute in bringing peace to the region. An important issue that came up was the issue of early discharge of the remaining Indian nationals in the Russian army. This figured from both sides in the discussion, and with the support of the Russian side, a number of Indian nationals have in recent months been able to return to India. We understand that currently the embassy is pursuing around 20 cases with the Russian side, and we very much hope that all of these individuals can be released at an early date and be repatriated to India very soon. The two sides also expressed satisfaction at the ongoing defense cooperation and agreed to hold the next meeting of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Cooperation Group on defense cooperation in Moscow at an early date. On energy cooperation, in which there is engagement between India and Russia on building nuclear power plants in India, it was agreed that the Department of Atomic Energy and the Russian agency Rosatom would continue to remain in touch to adhere to the mutually agreed schedule for the installation of the remaining units, that is units 3 to 6 of the Kudankulam nuclear power project. Economic cooperation figured quite prominently in the talks, and the two sides discussed the possibility of further cooperation in the financial sector. Sustaining supply chains for the steady and regular sourcing of fertilizers and coal from Russia was also discussed, and President Putin promised assistance in this regard as well. As agreed by the two leaders at their 22nd annual summit earlier this year, India will host the 25th session of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Technical, Economic and Cultural Cooperation in New Delhi on the 12th of November 2024, for which the Russian delegation will be led by Deputy Prime Minister Denis Manturov. And as I had pointed out just a couple of days ago as well, India is at this time working with the Russian side to open a new consulate right here in Kazan in the not too distant future. Another new consulate that was announced some time back will be opened in Yekaterinburg. The Prime Minister's next engagement, which got over a short while ago, was a meeting with the newly elected President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, His Excellency Dr. Masoud Pezeshkian. Prime Minister and President Pezeshkian had a fruitful discussion. This was their first meeting since President Pezeshkian's election as the 9th President of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Prime Minister congratulated him on his recent victory and reaffirmed India's commitment to deepening the age-old bilateral ties with Iran. In fact, both leaders emphasized repeatedly the shared historical and civilizational ties that underpin their bilateral relations and discussed ways to further strengthen cooperation in various fields of bilateral ties. The discussion focused on key areas of cooperation, particularly the Chabahar port and the international north-south transport corridor, which are crucial for enhancing regional connectivity and economic partnerships. In fact, seamless connectivity in the region was a theme of this meeting. In this context, the recent signing of the long-term main contract for the development of the Chabahar port in Iran further strengthens the commitments of both countries toward collaboration in these sectors, which is in a sense also significant for the reconstruction and development of Afghanistan and for enhancing trade, economic and people-to-people linkages with the countries of Central Asia. Both leaders also discussed the situation in West Asia. Prime Minister expressed his deep concern over the escalating conflict and reiterated India's call for the protection of civilians, the prevention of harm to civilians. He emphasized the need for dialogue and diplomacy to de-escalate tensions. President Pezeshkian also emphasized on the need for peace and harmony in the region and the role that India could play in de-escalating the conflict given its good relations with all the parties involved. As I said, Afghanistan was another key topic of discussion between the leaders. Both of them underscored the importance of maintaining peace and stability in the region, along with continuing humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan. President Pezeshkian acknowledged in particular the role that India played in Iran's accession to both the SCO and BRICS, and both the leaders agreed to continue their cooperation within various multilateral platforms, including BRICS and SCO. These are the developments for the day today. The Prime Minister is going to leave in a short while for the exclusive leaders dinner being hosted for BRICS leaders by President Putin. And we'll brief you on tomorrow's developments as the BRICS Summit opens at a time that will be notified later. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Siddhant.
Hi, sir. Siddhant from WION. Sir, any possibility of a bilateral between the Indian Prime Minister and the Chinese President, given that there is a certain level of thaw with the agreement on petroling? And essentially, my second question, what will be India's focus at the BRICS Summit this year in terms of the expansion, in terms of alternate payments mechanism?
Sahil.
Sir, I'm Sahil from ANI. Sir, just a quick clarification regarding what you said about petroling yesterday as a part of the agreement reached, and what will be it entailed under new agreement, and what are the implications for the agreement on disengagement reached previously?
Ranjan.
Ranjan Sharma, RT. My question is about the bilateral between the Indian Prime Minister and the Russian President. Was Ukraine discussed at all as a follow-up of Prime Minister's last visit, as it suggested that India sought to be a peacemaker? Any developments there?
Vishal.
सर, मैं विशाल पांडे हूं एबीपी न्यूज से। मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या 2020 से पहले की जो स्थिति एलएसी पर थी उसी पर लौटने की सहमति बन चुकी है, और क्या कल भारत के प्रधानमंत्री और चीन के राष्ट्रपति के बीच द्विपक्षीय मुलाकात होगी?
We'll come back to the question.
Okay. Let me take. Siddhant, yes, I can. Sorry. Yeah, I can confirm that there will be a bilateral meeting held between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping tomorrow, 23rd of October, on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit. The exact time and other logistics are being worked out, but the meeting will take place tomorrow. Let me address Runjun's question about the subject of Ukraine in the meeting between Prime Minister and President Putin. As I said, there was a considerable amount of discussion on this subject. The Prime Minister reiterated his views and his understanding that war and conflict would not solve or yield any solutions. The battlefield would not yield any solutions. There was a need for direct engagement between the parties most directly involved in the conflict, but also that India stood ready to aid and assist in any manner possible. It is in this context that starting from the Prime Minister's visit to Moscow in July this year, subsequently going on to his visit to Kyiv in August this year, his engagement with the leadership of both countries, as well as other regional powers and other countries that are interested in it, the involvement of the National Security Advisor who briefed the President of Russia during his visit to St. Petersburg. All of these are, and most recently, I may have mentioned the Prime Minister's meeting with President Zelensky on the sidelines of the UNGA in New York. All of these signify India's attempt to continue to remain in touch with key actors, key interlocutors, and gauge the possibility of finding a peaceful path to end the conflict, and also perhaps look for alternative approaches that may not currently be on the table or may not be currently under examination by the two parties. I think we will continue to stay in touch with all parties, given that we are amongst the few interlocutors that have the comfort and the ability to speak on all sides or speak with actors on all sides of the conflict. And as I may have said earlier, the President Putin appreciated the role that India was playing and promised to stay in close touch with Prime Minister in connection with India's efforts. Sahil and Vishal, I think your questions essentially relate to the same point with regard to the clarification that you sought insofar as what patrolling will entail under the agreement that was reached yesterday. Well, what it will entail is that in the pending areas under discussion, patrolling and indeed grazing activities, wherever applicable, will revert to the situation as it obtained in 2020. Incidentally, I should say that this is also what the External Affairs Minister was talking about yesterday when he was speaking at the NDTV World Summit, I think. And as to the other part of your question, what the as far as the disengagement agreements reached previously are concerned, those agreements were not reopened in these discussions. The agreement that was reached yesterday, very early yesterday morning, was focused on issues that had remained outstanding in the last couple of years. So that is what I would say at this point in time. विशाल, ये आपके सवाल का, आपके प्रश्न का भी उत्तर इसमें है. जैसे मैंने कहा कि जो आपने सवाल पूछा था कि पेट्रोलिंग पे जो समझौता कल हुआ है उसके माने क्या है, तो उसके माने ये हैं कि जो कुछ सवाल रह गए थे जिनके बारे में पिछले 2 साल से बातचीत चल रही थी, तो वहाँ पे पेट्रोलिंग और ग्रेजिंग जहाँ पे भी वो लागू हो, तो वो वाली जो स्थिति है वो 2020 की स्थिति वहाँ पे बहाल हो जाएगी. और मैं ये भी कह रहा था कि कल जब विदेश मंत्री एनडीटीवी वर्ल्ड समिट के मौके पे बोल रहे थे तो उनका तात्पर्य भी इसी से था. और जो मेरे ख्याल से साहिल का प्रश्न था ये भी कि जो पहले अग्रीमेंट्स हुई हैं उस पे क्या असर पड़ेगा कल की अग्रीमेंट का, तो जो पहले की अग्रीमेंट्स हैं उसके बारे में इन जो अभी चर्चा समाप्त हुई है उसमें पहले की एग्रीमेंट्स को फिर से हमने खोला नहीं। ये चर्चा जो थी ये पेंडिंग एग्रीमेंट्स पे जो आउटस्टैंडिंग इश्यूज थे उनको लेके थी।
Manish Chand, India Rights Network. Foreign Secretary, this will be the first structured meeting, probably the first structured meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping since the Galwan clashes. Yeah. Now, will it lead to? I mean, what is the assumption on which you are going ahead? Will it lead to a revival of the dialogue process? Because there were, as far as I remember, there are more than 20 theme-specific and sector-specific dialogue before the relations were disrupted. That's number one. Number two, on meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin, I believe expansion of the grouping was discussed. What is your view on the candidacies of, say, for example, Turkey and Pakistan, and the broad big picture, how we are approaching, because there are a lot of competing narratives about the expansion. Thank you.
सर नमस्कार, मेरा नाम आरेंद्र है, मैं दूरदर्शन न्यूज से हूं और मेरा दो सवाल है सर। पहला ये कि जो चीन के साथ में पेट्रोलिंग की पुरानी व्यवस्था को लागू करने पर सहमति बनी है, क्या उसको लेकर कोई समय सीमा भी है कि उसको कब तक लागू किया जाएगा? मेरा दूसरा सवाल इस बात को लेकर है कि ईरान के राष्ट्रपति के साथ जो मुलाकात हुई है प्रधानमंत्री मोदी की, वेस्ट एशिया में जो संघर्ष जो बढ़ता हुआ नजर आ रहा है उसमें शांति स्थापना को लेकर किस प्रकार के बिंदुओं पर बात हुई और भारत के इन शांति के प्रयासों में किसी प्रकार के रोल को लेकर अगर कोई बात हुई, थोड़ा उस पर विस्तार चाहेंगे। थैंक यू सर।
Sir, Dhairy Maheshwari from Sputnik India. Sir, with regards to the meeting with the Iranian president, would it be possible to know if there was a discussion on linking the Chabahar port to the INSTC? And what are the challenges we are facing, in doing so? And sir, on the meeting with President Putin, sir, was there any word on the revival of the RIC format? I mean, from the Russian side, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Valentina Schwartzman, RBC. Could you please comment on the Bloomberg report saying that India opposes a new expansion of BRICS, fearing that it might become sort of an anti-US body? And also, additionally, could you please say whether there has been any progress on the issue of the accumulation of rupees in India's banks as the result of proceeds from the deals with Russia? Has this issue been resolved in any way? And how much of these rupees are still remain in Indian banks? Thank you.
Thank you. I think I missed answering one of Siddhant's questions from the earlier lot about the focus in the BRICS summit. So yes, as you said, I think one of the focus areas is, I wouldn't say the expansion of BRICS, but what we are discussing right now, which is the modalities and guidelines for implementing a partner country model with BRICS. So that is one of the focus areas for this summit. Beyond that, of course, I would imagine that there will be a lot of discussions between the leaders on the key themes and the key vectors within BRICS on political and strategic issues, on economic, trade and financial issues, and on people-to-people and cultural relations. I don't want to preempt and prejudge what will be the actual outcomes of the summit tomorrow. And my colleague, Secretary Economic Relations, will be here at some point tomorrow to brief you on BRICS in detail. And that will include the developments with regard to alternative payment mechanisms, etc., which are all being discussed in the BRICS task force on payments, which has 3 or 4 different streams working within it. Manish, you asked about what will the meeting between Prime Minister and President lead to. I think I can only ask you at this moment to be patient. I will not be able to preempt or preview the outcome of the meeting. But we should hopefully have some details to offer tomorrow. With regard to discussions between Prime Minister and President Putin on some of the issues that are being discussed in BRICS on membership, as I said, there is a partner country model that is under discussion. The guidelines, modalities, and the parameters of this model are under discussion. As I am given to understand, this is something that is still a work in progress at this point in time, so I don't want to go beyond my brief and comment on something that is still under discussion. Again, there might be developments later today or tomorrow that it would be more appropriate to speak about these at that point. Haren, your question on आपने पूछा था कि इसमें कोई टाइम लिमिट है क्या जो समझौता हुआ है. समझौते के कई पहलू हैं जो एक तो डिप्लोमेटिक लेवल पे जो बातचीत हुई है, मिलिट्री लेवल पे बातचीत हुई है, इन सभी चीज़ों को समझौते में रखा गया है और आने वाले दिनों में आपको इसके बारे में और डिटेल्स मिल सकती हैं, लेकिन अभी मैं इससे ज़्यादा नहीं कहना चाहूँगा. जहाँ तक ईरान के साथ जो प्रधानमंत्री जी की राष्ट्रपति पेजेश्कियान से बातचीत हुई है, जी हाँ, शांति वार्ता की जो आवश्यकता है पश्चिमी एशिया में, उसके बारे में काफ़ी गहरी बातचीत हुई उनसे. ईरान के राष्ट्रपति ने जोर दिया इस बात पे कि वे शांति वार्ता के और शांति के पक्ष में हैं, और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने उनसे कहा कि भारत हमेशा से शांति चाहता आ रहा है, और चूंकि भारत की इस क्षेत्र में जितने देश हैं, और उन्होंने 6-7 देशों के नाम गिनाए और उनके लीडर्स के साथ जो उनकी बातचीत हुई है उसके बारे में थोड़ा उन्होंने ब्यौरा दिया और बताया कि कैसे वो शांति वार्ता के पक्ष में सभी लीडर्स से बातचीत समय समय पे करते आ रहे हैं, और भारत एक तरह से ये भूमिका कई साल से निभाता आ रहा है और आगे भी निभाएगा. Dhari, your question on linking Chabahar and INSTC, yes, this has been something that has been a subject of discussion for some time. There are certain logistical issues involved in it, but I don't think that as a principle there is any question about the utility and the value that would be derived by linking Chabahar to the INSTC. It is something that we have discussed with a number of interlocutors, but there are certain logistics and infrastructure issues that are involved in this. Having earlier this year signed the main contract on Chabahar between Iran and India, I would imagine that movement towards this objective would be possible in the not too distant future. Your second question on the revival of Russia, India, China trilateral in the meeting with President Putin, no, this did not come up in today's meeting. I think there was a question on, if I got you correctly, that there is an impression that India opposes BRICS expansion. I think that is a completely misplaced and erroneous impression. Last year, when BRICS was expanded, we were very much in the middle of that exercise and very, very closely involved in that exercise. And the very fact that practically every country that entered as a member of BRICS last year has expressed their appreciation to India for the role that we played, only goes to testify what our stance with regard to BRICS expansion is. And I might add that it's the same role that we are playing in terms of contributing constructively to the discussions around the BRICS partner country discussion that is going on. About your question on rupees in Indian banks, I don't have the details immediately with me in terms of the quantum, but yes, these balances are there in special Vostro accounts that have been created under RBI regulations, and they are essentially aimed at enabling the trade between India and Russia to proceed in a smooth manner. But I think the details, perhaps when Secretary Economic Relations is here tomorrow, he might be able to give you more details on this.
We had a question there. Yeah, please.
Foreign Secretary, my name is Pavel Tsukanov. I'm from the Russian TASS news agency. Recently, the BRICS pay mechanism was introduced. In this regard, my question is, 1. Can it be considered a viable alternative to the SWIFT interbank messaging system? 2. Will India participate in this initiative? And if so, do you believe it could soon facilitate settlements in bilateral trade, such as for energy resources? Thank you.
Gaurav?
सर नमस्कार, मेरा नाम गौरव सावंत है। आई वर्क फॉर इंडिया टुडे एंड आज तक। सर, चीन के रुख में ये परिवर्तन आया कैसे आपकी दृष्टि में, और जब पेट्रोलिंग दोबारा रिज्यूम होगी तो फिर बॉर्डर पे ट्रूप्स के क्लैशेस ना हो जाए, क्या इसका भी कोई मैकेनिज्म है? और डिसएंगेजमेंट तो हो रहा है, क्या डी एस्केलेशन और डी इंडक्शन की भी बात हो रही है?
Kazan, you had a question? No. Sir.
So, to your question on, if I got you correctly, spoke about BRICS payment mechanism having been introduced. I must confess I am not aware of an alternative payment mechanism having been introduced, as especially insofar as, if I take the second part of your question, especially as an alternative to SWIFT. What I do know is that there are some discussions that are going on within BRICS in terms of local currency settlement of trade. This is something that we have encouraged, and in the discussions between officials on the finance track within BRICS, this is something that has been discussed as a possibility. And to start with, I think this might be something that could happen bilaterally between BRICS partners and could slowly be expanded to the multilateral plane amongst the BRICS countries, thus limited thus far to trade. How it can move to other areas of financial engagement between BRICS countries is something that I understand is still under study. There are a number of research projects that have been commissioned into these areas, because as you will understand, it entails it would entail a number of changes in the financial mechanism and financial infrastructure of the different BRICS countries. So insofar as the local currency settlement of trade-related issues is concerned, yes, that is something that is being discussed and encouraged within BRICS. But beyond that, I think we still have some work to do. Gaurav, आपका जो सवाल है कि ये रुख कैसे बदला, how did these things change? मेरे विचार में ये सवाल इस समय थोड़ा सा प्रीमेच्योर है. अभी जो अरेंजमेंट्स और अभी तक जो समझौता हुआ है उसे पहले हमें ग्राउंड पे इम्प्लीमेंट करना है. ये एनालिसिस कि ये कैसे हुआ, इसको मेरे विचार में बाद में देख सकते हैं. आपने कहा कि जो आगे फेस ऑफ्स न हो, क्लैशेस न हो, उनको कैसे रोका जाए. मेरे विचार में बहुत ही ये एक अहम आपने सवाल, एक अहम मुद्दा उठाया है, और हमारी आशा है और हमारा प्रयत्न रहेगा कि जो अरेंजमेंट्स वर्कआउट हुए हैं, जिन पे समझौता हुआ है, वो ऐसे अरेंजमेंट्स हो जिनसे इस तरह के क्लैशेस रुक सकें. जो पीछे हुए हैं कहीं कहीं पे लाइन ऑफ एक्चुअल कंट्रोल के पास। तो इसमें आगे हमें देखना पड़ेगा और लगातार प्रयत्न करना पड़ेगा, लगातार कोशिश करनी पड़ेगी कि जो मैकेनिक्स हो जो अग्रीमेंट के वो ऐसे रहें कि इस तरह के जो क्लैशेस हैं उनको रोका जा सके। जहाँ तक आपका अंतिम प्रश्न है कि डिसएंगेजमेंट हो गया है या हो रहा है और डी एस्केलेशन और डी इंडक्शन की बात कहाँ आती है, मैं फिर से यही कहूँगा कि अभी हमें पहले डिसएंगेजमेंट पे फोकस करना है और डी एस्केलेशन और डी इंडक्शन की बातें सही समय पे होंगी। Thank you all.
With that, we come to the closure of this session. Thank you very much for your presence, and thank you, sir, for taking out time for our friends in the media. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Those were live visuals from Kazan. The presser or the briefing, media briefing by the Ministry of External Affairs of India, convened by Foreign Secretary of India, Vikram Misri. Just to quickly reiterate, as we also welcome our special guest on this very special broadcast, Foreign Secretary did give an overview of the contents of discussions that came up between Prime Minister Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Remember, earlier today they met on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS Summit, and Foreign Secretary also did take questions. There were more questions rather pertaining to whether Ukraine-Russia conflict did figure as far as the discussions or the meeting between President Putin and Prime Minister Modi is concerned, and most importantly, that yes, there's going to be that all-important bilateral between Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping tomorrow. Responding to the questions on the de-escalation and the engagements as far as the patrolling at the LAC is concerned, Foreign Secretary did mention that patrolling at the LAC will revert to its original position in 2020. We're going to talk about all of that, and there was a considerable discussion as far as President Putin and Prime Minister Modi is concerned on Ukraine, where Prime Minister Modi of India reiterated India's position that the solutions cannot be, or battlefields cannot really offer solutions, and there is definitely a need for the direct engagements as far as the leadership of Russia and Ukraine is concerned, that how India stood strongly and ready to aid and assist if at all necessary, where Prime Minister Modi also recalled his visit to Moscow just 3 months ago, which was followed by his visit to Kyiv in Ukraine, and how India has maintained a considerable level of engagements as far as the other regional players or regional powers are concerned, and how India really looks at the attempt to gauge the possibility for looking for quote-unquote alternative approaches as far as resolving the Russia-Ukraine conflict or Russia-Ukraine conflict is concerned. Pretty much questions pertaining to the Prime Minister Modi's bilateral with Xi Jinping and the significance of President Putin's meeting with Prime Minister Modi. And yes, of course, Prime Minister Modi's bilateral with the Iranian top leadership, the Iranian president. India describing that meeting also fruitful, and he did elaborate on how Chabahar and other things also came up for the discussion.